to be on. 4ZR with 3 eliminations, 12 HP, knocked right in their tracks. 4ZR on the track for redemption here, is barely alive, and he's gonna have to go to the medkit play and hopefully catch someone else on the backside of the storm.
Does he have it down to 2 HP? And yes, he picks it up. A stop sign on the highway of low ground. 4ZR keeps his chances alive in this game. Trulex, Jerky, and Queasy, though, on height. They're still alive, and they're looking real good. They might not have too many materials, but they have a chance to do a lot of pressure down. It's somewhat of a bounce back zone, so they don't need to do too much over here. A chance for a breather. Their Elam's looking good, 2-5 so far. Floki, though, is still on low ground. A very dangerous trio to go head-to-head with in the end game. Hottie alive, sniped down by Lanoof. So many different teams down below that are so good at these high-pressure situations. Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky have a big task ahead of them.
What did Mika say?
Medkits. He's going to be the man that's going to be sitting on the high ground and sending him much pressure. Clement and Septos are still there. Waze is already going in for the medkit. He's coming in for the backside of Storm. Waze against Kiriachi, gets knocked, and that's what happens when you do the flopper pay. You get the angles to send the beams on through. Floki, the Septos, and Clement, they don't see Waze. Clement gets tagged in from the backside. Clement has to play some defense. Clement responds with the elimination.
3v3, and this time Queasy can't choke. Trulex looking up high, almost out of materials as well. They have to try to win this game to redeem themselves from the mistakes yesterday. They want to make up the whole leaderboard as well from what we saw before and yesterday. 2 Trulex, Squeezy, Jerky are looking for the drop down. 2 different teams, big shots below. Deceptos down. It's a huge drop. Trulex has the insurance. He has to go below. I think it might be the last one left here. One more flopper, and these guys are still in zone. It's too early, but he has the angles. Trulex gets it all the way in the they win it out. They're looking glorious today, Sancho.
See, like, yeah, man, we had height this many times. If we just clean up a couple of things, we just hold on, we get a couple, be a little bit more aggressive, get some elims, stomp out the low ground, we could win more games. And they just got their first victory out here in day 2, Shayo.
Yeah, but 4ZR, so many low ground teams going down to that zone. It's uncharacteristic. That was a very, very tough game. We have to toss it back to the desk to break it down and show us what we missed.
Okay, all right, Queasy, Trulex, Jerky, High Ground Kings. You know, if you ever look high ground, if there's a team up there, it's them. That's it. It's gonna be them forever. Boys, fantastic second game on. Casters kind of set this up. They're looking for that redemption arc, right? They're like, yesterday, I don't even care about yesterday. Today, we're gonna show up big.
Yeah, and I think like that storyline is so true for indeed reason Vidil no Riley as well, right? You got to think winning that first game, and then it looked like it was going to be their game 2 again. Taking height so early in that 5th zone, they committed so much to it, but again, it ended up being a little bit too much because Queasy, their team is so good at focusing high ground. We've seen this all through yesterday. I'm trying to think if there was a game where they haven't been on height ever in their history of them playing tournaments at this point.
Yeah, literally the whole day of yesterday, it was literally like, how's the weather down there, boys? You know, it was them up above time and time again, but they weren't able to convert it into victory royales a lot of the time, and that was the real issue. You know, we know this is how they play. You look at Queasy and Trulex historically throughout multiple Fortnite seasons, they opt to play high ground. This season, right, Jerky's been a spark for them. You saw Jerky when they were taking out, he took the Germans down, right? No Riley, they'll wipe them out, you know what I'm saying? And from there, it was really great play. Might sneak into contention, guys. I'm calming down a bit, but it's possible. It's always possible.
Look, Fortnite's taught us, right? Anything is possible. It just depends on how you approach that end game. So let's actually talk about this end game coming out of last game, game number 1, because we saw a little bit of a heal off that was a little bit of a flub.
Yeah, there was a little bit going on here. If you remember game back to 1, Thomas and Nas on high ground, very similar to this last game we watched with Queasy on high ground, setting up the heal potential here with Reason down below on the low ground. Now, one of the things we want to keep an eye out is, look, Thomas HG's just taken a tick to zone right here. If you notice, his HP has gone down to 90 at this point, right? No longer at 100. He has the medkit's inventory. This means he is able to actually use the medkit to stay alive a little bit longer in the zone. So notice he keeps going forward, but this is where a fatal mistake comes out, right? Next thing, you notice, again, after harvesting that, 2 builds. 2 builds remaining only. So this is also why Anas has to drop down, because he has absolutely 0 here. So he uses those 2 builds right here, and notice the positioning. He's at the back rather than being at the front here. Will this allow Reason on low ground not to be able to see him? But the issue is he's too close to the edge of the zone down at the bottom here, which means when he starts popping his medkit, I mean, we all saw how unfortunately it ended up going for him. So now moving down to Reason's perspective on low ground, this is a thing of beauty. This is what we love to see from a fighter like this. He gets an ass dropped into his box and hits a huge shot. But this edit that he's made on the right-hand side here is beautiful, because he has a right-hand peek on Anas who is on the other side, and Anas can't see him at all. And this manages to pick up a beautiful shot for him. And this, look, 5 HP and the elimination goes through. And then we said, playing on high ground with the med kit too far to the back with not enough time, and unfortunately he ends up being eliminated. But let's see how that last game also kind of transitioned onto these standings.
Gut wrenching finish there, Reese. Looking at the standings though, still on top of the board, Refsguard and Dre and Mr. Savage. We got to watch them a bit, and they do look like, you know, they're having a decent day, but nothing yet that is comparable to what they did yesterday. The key thing to note here though is Queasy, Trulex, and Jureki shooting all the way up into second now, and they are closing that gap. Zeke, you know, I hear the laugh, Zeke, but you know it. They are closing that gap. They are looking to try and become FNCS champions at the end of today.
Yeah, and it's looking like huge game for them. 4ZR tasting Nate too. Look at the difference between first all the way down till third, and you can't count out Hen Janice Chapix too. Look at how close all of these players are in the top 4 with 4 games remaining. And I must say, this is going to be an exciting 4 games going forward. Any of these teams right now are completely in the running.
This is only game 2. Look, you guys know that I stress. I feel the emotion. To me, I mean, I'm down. Like, you know what? Let's keep making this a close competition to the very end. I'm super down. But once again, man, Queasy and his trio, I don't understand why people are just allowing them to be up there. Just stop them from getting high ground. They're going to close out games if you let this happen. But again, there's all these other trios, man. It's literally like there's a feeding frenzy on EU right now. And it's just like whoever finds that window to attack, they're going to close it out. But okay, I know, Zeke, I know, it's game time. We're jumping back into the action. This is game number 3 on the day, aka 9 of this series. Let's get into all the action.
In EU right now, it's all about the win, Sancho, and it looks like Trulex, Queasy, Jerk.
Ole me. A me mancano 500 di V-Buck. Boh. Io sto aspettando, cioè ecco, mancano 500 V-Buck per prendere il mio Harley Quinn.
Lose it on the high ground retake, coming from a flank with just normal builds. That's what's so fantastic about this meta, that you're able to kind of hold on to height. There's no bouncers, there's no shockwaves, there's no caddy launcher to kind of come up in there to take it away from you. So we're seeing what they can do. Now, the question going forward, as we're going to get into the later stages of the game, as you do see Weeping Woods already, the save it battle versus Blaster is still continuing there, is who is going to change up their kind of strategy. And when they change the strategy, and this is where it gets kind of
Sono arrivato. Non si vede. Non so dove sarà ancora bene.
Trio in
Aspetta,
30th
che mi ha scritto? Beh, Luca, abbiamo
Higher team.
segnalato uno e che c'è
In terms of
scritto
High
una
Chris, Vortex,
parolaccia.
and Knight being in
E mi
30th and being in an
vedo
end game,
cosa.
you might not be thinking totally of the comeback. You might be thinking about, you know, taking more risks, going just completely for the win, not doing the most consistent and expected plays. It's going to be dangerous for everyone else. This game might be a lot more trickier to navigate.
If they could break through that threshold, we're talking about thousands of dollars. So it's worth them to
Anche-
throw everything at the wall, throw that spaghetti,
Mi
see if it
regali
sticks.
battuta
Because
finale?
we're talking about a couple commas
No,
and
lì
zeros
devo
every time you move up that
Queen
leaderboard.
io.
Yeah, but they're going to be working against the grain, right? For people like Kiriachi, like Forzier we saw right now. You talked about it, Sancho. Patience. They're waiting. They have a game.
Posso.
Anything when they're alive. They don't.
Oh, Mario, mi mancano 500 V-Buck. Per Harley Quinn. Io sto guardando parte reale la
Playing
ccfn.
the right type of Fortnite game, they need to play the other side of it though and actually have an impact in their zones and lobby. And Nas is by himself walking around right now, but yeah, Hiriachi needs elims. They're doing it off the start of the day. Need to make sure they keep it up.
Mannequins Coming Alive is totally an 80s movie reference right then and there.
Erano
And now we have Noah Riley, Reason, and Badil. It's so interesting though. I thought this trio would be able to push out to coast. I thought they would go back into being more aggressive, being more that ruthless trio. You know, taking out those legions of players, but I don't know who is this? Who is this team? I want to know who is this team.
I was talking about emotions before, right? These guys feel really good and they're happy when they're pushing teams and it works out. When that doesn't happen,
ma è una di quelle
negative
skin che
emotions
poi te ne
associated with that
dimentichi
push,
che
right?
esiste.
Now today, they're playing patience and they're getting points. You get points, you're happy. They're just riding those emotions, and now the patience is coming naturally. So, very emotional team. What they're doing is making them very, very happy. They know it's working. They're getting points. They're going to keep doing it.
They're going to the gym. You know, this is like their second week. They're seeing the abs kind of pop out a little bit. They're like, okay, maybe I'll stick with this new lifestyle, and at the same time, I'll stick with this diet. But these guys, they love to eat, and right now they're just holding on. You know, they're just, hey, they're calorie deficient. They're making.
È una skin che la deve avere, l'hanno detto.
Oh Mario, io per me la tolgono l'8, lo tolgono il 7 e l'8 c'è la season, Harley Quinn.
No, domani non ci sarà più.
Tolgono Harley Quinn domani?
È impossibile. È impossibile che tolgano tutto il set di tutti le skin.
Per me, ma devo shoppare marshmallow.
Minimo il balletto, il giaplano. Il giaplano è fighissimo, c'è io. Oh. No. Ok. Cioè, se non mi shoppavo questa skin
non lo so se shopparla no, cazzo.
Io se non mi shoppavo questa skin della CC. No, ma perché
Ah.
costa poco a Limited se piglia il pacchetto. Non mi fa entrare,
Ah,
ma...
Limi. Limi. Limi!
No,
Quanti feedback hai?
no,
Il biscotto non
no.
lo puoi comprare.
Eh?
Perché il biscotto non te lo puoi prendere, vero?
No.
Io aspetterei tre biscotti.
Eh?
Io aspetterei
Minchia,
tre
non te le fai
biscotti.
da solo, porca miseria.
Non mi piace
E sei
Telescope.
livello 132, non hai
Vabbè,
te.
Nella shop sì o no, raga?
Minchia, per quello stile schifoso.
Il secondo stile è bello solo da dietro. Vero?
Per quello stile di schifo, Nitaz. Vuoi fare?
La volontà del guardiano non l'avete preso?
Eh?
La volontà del guardiano non l'avete preso?
No. No.
Perché?
Boh, pensavo uscisse nello shop. Mo me lo
Io vado
ricordo.
chat gioco che raga.
Lo shop
Cosa?
era giovedì.
No,
Cosa?
io non c'ho cosi, io non c'ho oro.
Non
C'ho
ci
pochissimo
credi.
oro, giuro. Non mi sono potuto neanche
1600
prendere lo
non ce
schioppo.
l'hai?
No, c'ho 800.
Non ci credo, non te la puoi prendere.
No.
Beh, ho fatto gioco.
Quanto-
Ma cosa? Dungeon. Sì, c'è ancora il dungeon. No, non posso. Raga. No, no. Mi regali gli Harley Quinn. Sì, vabbè. Sì, Oh, posso vedere sul tuo account, please? Sì. No. Ok, ok. No, 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 facciamo di no.
Sì, sì.
Dai, già, io...